Ragnarok chapter 94, we're picking up right where we left off from 93 with Kondo crying, saying the kite that returned to the heavens. Imperion, that's Okita's new technique where he's got these aura wings. It truly looks like he's flying right here, bro. This is insane, and if you thought 93 was good, you're in for a fucking treat because this chapter is better in my opinion. So we start things off, like I said, with this clash with Okita coming down with those aura wings slamming down on Susanoo's guard. Kondo's in shock, so is the Shinsengumi as they question the word Imperion. What's that? Kondo says the kite soars and returns to the skies. And you know what I just realized? I think a kite is actually a bird. Yeah, it's actually a type of bird. So that's what they meant. I didn't know what kind of bird it was in 93. Now I know. The kite soars and returns to the skies. It expresses the state of all things freely enjoying themselves, according to their natural instincts. Kondo continues and says, this is the Chinese poem that my foster father, the third headmaster of the Tenin Rishin Ryu style, used as the seal and inscription for the ultimate techniques of our school. Soji, have you finally reached the highest realm? The realm of that ultimate technique, a place where no one else has ever been. Panels look awesome. Okita is more confident now than ever before. You see him barrage at Susanoo again with all these after images. You see the names of these attacks flying out, constant barrage of named attacks, and Susanoo is literally feeling the effects. He says, I can't even catch my breath. It's like being crushed by an avalanche. But this guy is so damn impressive that he is still, up to this point, not been hit by any of these fucking attacks. His godly myriad just continues to evolve and he keeps on going. He now is smiling. He says, Okita Soji, my man, I knew it. You are the greatest. Pretty high fucking praise from the sword god to be calling you the greatest, and I don't know what the context of him calling him the greatest is. Greatest what? Greatest swordsman? Greatest fighter? What is he talking about? Either way, it's high praise. Susanoo tries to counter at one point. Again, Okita dodges out of the way and Okita ends up behind him. He points the sword in this, like, he looks like a fucking turtle here, bro, for some reason to me, but his back is compressed down. He's got the sword inverted and he is prepared to strike him down with another powerful thrust. He says, you led me here to the peak, Susanoo. Thank you. One of the Shinsengumi says, here it comes, the 3-stage thrust. And somebody else says, no, it's not that. Kondo chimes in, he says, that's not the 3-stage thrust. And Okita flies forward like a fucking avalanche, as Susanoo was saying. Ichimaru, his boy, the kid from the last chapter, is screaming, go for it, Tsuji, go for it. The strike unleashed at the end of the continuous attacks transcended the speed of gods. Insane statement. Insane statement. And that's not even the end of it. Transcended the speed of the gods and transcended humanity itself and pierced the boundary between gods and humans. It's called Demon Claw 3-stage thrust. As we get this montage of the first one coming in, where it looks like Susanoo is able to react, he parries it with awesome panels. Like, these are some of the coolest panels, bro. Okita's face looks awesome. He's so determined. And actually, it looks like he may have been nicked by Susanoo here on the head, where a scratch hit him, which is super impressive for Susanoo if that happened just recently. I'd have to go back and check. That's number one. Susanoo parries it. The second one comes in. You could see the after image fade out of Susanoo's view, and he ends up again behind Susanoo. Susanoo was able to parry that attack enough, the second one, but the third thrust, Susanoo looked back, he realized he was behind him, but it was too fucking late this time. Okita crouched down with an aura of the kite, blitzed forward where you see Onago's face with a demonic smile, you see Okita's face on the other side, and they are coming with full force for the Demon Claw 3-stage thrust. So it's the 3-stage thrust that he's been using, now amplified Demon Claw. Demon timing, let's go. The crazy thing about this shit is that fucking, even though I say it's too late for Susanoo here, he actually still reacts to the attack. That's how crazy Susanoo is. His sword blocks it. The problem is, like, when Okita launches, I mean, this is like something that's like, I mean, I'm sure he's moving faster, but that looks like what happens when somebody breaks the sound barrier. He breaks Susanoo's sword. So we were talking about this in the spoilers because obviously something that's coming later is the people that watch the spoiler video know. But yes, Susanoo literally has his divine weapon broken, which somebody commented that this is the first time he thinks like a divine weapon's being broken. It's not the first time. We saw Hades' Bident get broke. We saw Poseidon's Trident get broke. We've seen Buddha's staff get broke. Anyway, the fact that Susanoo reacted to this in this kind of way is still insane, but the sword broke. Okita's force literally broke Ame no Murakumo. To the very end, Susanoo was trying to parry off the attack and try to push back, but it did not work and the thrust got through. For the first time in this whole fucking montage of fights where they've elevated their power levels, Okita lands something clean. The crowd is stunned, literally. Susanoo screamed out, Musashi, Sasuke, Zeus, Ares, Hermes, Heimdall, all astonished as Heimdall says, the sword demon's Isen pierced right through the sacred treasure and the god. Susanoo takes massive amounts of damage. Eyes go white. Huge hole in the side of his torso. Spits out a ton of blood. Shinsengumi is going wild right now. Ichimaru is elated. Go and Hilda are celebrating. The human blacksmiths that worked on Susanoo's sword can't fathom that the sword would be shattered like that. The only humans perhaps that are rooting against Okita. It gets to the point where Tsukiyomi, Amaterasu, and Izanami, Susanoo's family, are genuinely worried for Susanoo. Izanami stands from his seat. First time he's showing any emotion like this, first time any of these guys are. He doesn't say one word. The story is told by his facial expression, standing up as the head of the pantheon, watching his son potentially die. Tsukiyomi says this has to be a lie. Amaterasu says Sano and trails off. While everyone in the arena was certain of Tsuji's victory, there was one human who felt a sense of unease. It was none other than Okita Tsuji himself. After the thrust, he turned around and looked as if he had seen a ghost. Okita's eyes just remind me of like a puma, bro. But anyway, as if he had seen a ghost, Susanoo still remained standing. Holding just the hilt of his sword, his determination had not faltered. He raises his palm up to his face and says, this is a real battle. This is the first real battle that he can have. We see a small flashback of Susanoo staring into what looks to be a mirror, but it's almost like a portal where he could see and watch, and this reveals that he was stalking basically and watching and observing Okita as he was drawing these techniques out. This Empyrean technique. Jacked to the gills. Even without being able to wield a sword, he never gave up on the sword. That was something that he observed from Okita. And it is now something that because of that experience and because of knowing Okita the way he does and seeing it in action now, seeing the dividends that it paid, it has actually influenced him. Susanoo has always been a god that was willing to learn from humans, and now it is going to pay off. While looking at his hands, he says, this is swordsmanship. He drops the hilt that's broken, the hilt of his broken sword, raises his two hands to the sky and says, thank you, Okita. Thanks to you, finally, I was able to reach it. The crowd doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. What's that? Is that a surrendering pose? No, I don't feel any weakness from it. Indeed, how divine. It's as if he's praying, but he ain't praying. He brings his hands together in the exact positioning he would as if he was wielding a sword. The sword god raised both fists, palms together towards the sky, and gently grasped the hilt of his sacred treasure, the sword he thought he had lost. We don't see the hilt though. There's no hilt actually physically in his hand, yet he is still grasping on that hilt as if it is still existing. Slowly, as usual, he assumed a formal stance. Okita at this point is completely giving him his undivided attention in his own stance. And then, as if in a child's play, Susanoo swung down an invisible sword. Okita clearly was caught by surprise by this, clearly had no idea what to fucking expect. He was worried, but he didn't know what the hell he was doing. Legitimately, he had no idea what the ramifications would be. By the one who continued to love the sword, a miracle was accomplished. The sword strike connected. The Shinsengumi, the humans, the gods, even Sasuke are all taken aback. Okita's reactions are unnatural. We see these impact frames and these weird reverberations that result in this line streaking down Okita's arm and streaking down his leg. It doesn't look as if they've been cut or pierced, but there is damage done. Okita's eyes tell the whole story here. He is shocked. He has no idea what's happening. He says, what the? My left arm and my left leg were cut. No. Their insides were cut, and we get an x-ray vision shot that Okita's left arm, the bone was cut clean in half, and his left leg, his upper leg, like where his quad is, that bone was cut clean. Susanoo literally used an invisible sword and just cut two of Okita's bones down, and this is going to severely limit Okita's movement. But I don't know. We'll see, because, you know, we would have thought Susanoo potentially could have been limited from his foot injury. So we'll see what Okita's going to do. If those wings from the fucking aura thing are going to affect something, I don't know. Susanoo says, at last I've reached it, the peak of my swordsmanship. Unparalleled, thoughtless, and without adornment, this is simply Muzoken, the unornamented sword, with an amazing panel, a sinister aura around Susanoo as he wields his invisible blade, the peak of his swordsmanship to date, as Okita stares on in absolute disbelief. What a fucking chapter, and we are going into 95, and I cannot wait. We got two guys that just continue to get stronger. Usually it's like, hey, somebody gets a power up, then it's like maybe one more power up and then it's over with. These two just continue to go tit for tat. The moment where Okita landed that strike, that could have ended a lot of foes, a lot of lesser fighters. But Susanoo is still in the game. We still got another chapter to go, and people are complaining about the length. Guys, if you go back and read it start to finish, personally, this is one of the best fights from a choreography standpoint as far as on-screen action. Go back and check out 93 if you missed that. And the way that this fight is continuing to go, I love it, because you can really tell that the author is truly putting all his ideas that he wanted to get out with these guys in, and everything that we could have wanted is cooking. This is reminding you of what happens in Baku, and Musashi does a similar feat like this. So that's potentially a cross-versy thing. As with Okita, him doing his 80 technique, 13th form of sun breathing like Tanjiro. This is getting insane. Amazing set of chapters this month, and I cannot wait till next month. Make sure you guys are subscribed for all the coverage. We're of course, gonna still be covering the Apocalypse of the Gods chapter 4. That's still yet to come, so we still got that to go. And of course, I'll do preview and predictions for next month's chapters. Let me know what you guys think about this fight. What's gonna happen? Who do you think is gonna win? How does it go down? And what do you think of the power-ups? We're eating good. Catch you guys in the next one.